And welcome to the 24th, that's right, we've been around for 24 weeks, episode of the Devin Bob Show. Now, it hasn't been 24 episodes with Devin, but he has come in very strong for about the last 7. So, Devin, welcome.
Glad to be here, Bobby.
Bobby. Damn it, Bobby. So,
Bobby.
Tonight, we normally have a guest, but he unfortunately had something else going on, so it's just going to be Devin and I for the 24th episode, which is okay. It's not a bad thing just to have, two bros, right?
No, I mean, we're pretty intelligent. We can talk about shit and stuff.
Shit and stuff and things. I think that's the best thing we should talk about. So instead of normally talking about a guest, is there anything that you feel we should bring up to the listening audience as kind of, maybe we should plug our own channel for once?
Why don't we do a channel update?
A channel update. So I think that's fair. Yeah, a good channel update. So there has been some changes since our last channel update. To the left, we'll start at the very top. To the left is going to be done. It didn't get the response I thought it would. I mean, who doesn't want to play Arena and select only to the left, which in Hearthstone really limits your potential to go far, and I thought that would have done better, but it didn't. So unfortunately, we're just going to go ahead and cut that. We do have a special project that we're going to release it with. I don't think it will be out by the time this comes out because I'm still trying to formulate how I really want to edit it, but I think it's going to be very good. We actually recorded it tonight, so on the 20th. And Devin, what do you think about it? So don't give specifics, but your overall thoughts.
I was real apprehensive about what it was going to entail and how it was going to work. But after we did it, I thought it was a lot of fun. I think it's going to be a really fun video series, especially as we kind of get a format down pat with it.
Right, and it's meant to be lighthearted, and it's meant to not be taken serious. So when you watch it, keep that in mind, please. And then, so we actually have the Stink Flicks. That has been going pretty solid. I feel like that's a fresh thing that hits our channel. So this last episode, we haven't done it yet, but the one that hit on Friday, this last Friday, the 24th, was with Nick from Instant Replay Live, and we reviewed Kindergarten Cop 2. So go back and check that one out. It's, Devin, I would say it's not as big of a stinker as we originally thought it was going to be.
I don't want to say I liked the movie, but I had no hate for the movie. It was. We'll get more into it in the episode.
I disagree, but we'll talk about that tomorrow night recording. Make sure you check out Devin and mine, and actually Nick from Instant Replay Live's opinion on Stinkflix. But also, Devin, I'll let you go ahead and touch on your 2 areas.
Okay, so I do Retro Turds, and I do the Full Nelson. Retro Turds has been going okay. I've had a little bit of not an identity crisis with it, but I've been really trying to figure out how I want that series to go. The original idea was to just make fun of bad retro games, and I'm kind of feeling like that has been done so much over time that I might need to make some adjustments to it. If you get a chance, though, check out the episode on Shameful. The only reason I say that is because I kind of was trying out where I would like to maybe see the format go, which is more my own personal musings with classic video games, whether they be good or bad. Shaq Fu being the game I rented more than any other game when I was a kid. So working on that. Full Nelson's going good once we figured out how to get videos out there without the WWE pulling them for copyright reasons, even though we're using just a minimal amount of video footage. But the overall concept I feel is going really well, and I've been really happy with how that series is moving.
Yeah, I would agree. One thing, and leave a comment below about this, because I know a lot of our listeners are Let's Players. One thing that really kind of irks me is the fair use. So the fair use is supposed to be you have something that is somebody else's property, but you change it with, you add your own spin to it. So such as like a movie critique, or, you're critiquing a wrestling match, just like the Full Nelson and Stinkflix. But time and time again, we get hit with these fair use laws that are just extremely irritating and super hard to fight. So, Devin, you ran into one with the WWE that they pretty much, the moment that we even tried, they blocked it. They wouldn't let anybody see it. So a lot of the times we do have, the copyright that comes out, and it blocks in certain countries maybe, or they just monetize it and take the money that we would have made. But WWE, they just, nope, nobody will see this.
Yeah, they chair shotted us over the head really, really badly. So what I've learned through all this is that YouTube don't give a fuck. They're not involved. They want nothing to do with this, which I guess makes sense in the sense that, we're not YouTube employees, and they aren't going to help us with any kind of legal battles. And basically the way it works is, if they make a claim on our video, they have the right to do with it whatever they want without any, straight off the bat. So they can pull it so that nobody can see it. They can allow us to leave it up, and then they get any monetary privileges off of that. They can block it in certain countries, or they can leave it alone and let it go. The issues we've ran into with Stinkflix, I've been able to just explain that we're, using the footage for fair use. We're making a critique and a commentary on the movie, and they pull it immediately. WWE, though, doesn't. They blocked it. And when I pointed out that we were well within our right, it was fair use. We weren't using an entire match. We were using small clips from the match, and we were doing a critique and a commentary on it. They basically said tough shit, and from there your only recourse is to take them to court. Pretty much, they can continue to not do what the law says. It just, nobody obviously has the time or money or anything like that to fight them on it. So we had to kind of rework how we use footage on those videos. We've gone to mostly still frames, still images from the matches we're talking about, with very, very, very limited use of video to maybe highlight a particularly cool moment from the match or whatever. But I think we've got that figured out. I'm going to go back and recut the first episode so that everybody will get a chance to see it, since it got pulled right away.
Yeah,
but I'm feeling good about it, and that to me has been the most fun about doing this YouTube series, has been just the challenge of it, because it's not an easy thing. You get up some days, your kids are sick, you don't feel like putting a video together, but you got to do it. And then there's all this stuff to learn, and it's not like there's, this is how you do this stuff on YouTube and do it right. You just kind of wing it and hope that it works and figure it out along the way. That to me has been the most fun about doing this.
Yeah, I agree. And to be honest, a lot of the fun is interacting with the community. So we're a part of a pretty big community, and it never fails to amaze me how supportive everybody is of each other. So the crazy thing is, we're all competitors, right? So we're all competing for the same thing, and we're all competing to, climb that ladder or, whatever. But the sense of community that comes around it, and, we had a friend that went missing, and the outreach from just his YouTube friends was amazing. And I want to say, I don't think we do it enough, but I want to say thank you to everybody that continues to support the channel and, be a part of the community that we're in, because it's amazing. But yeah,
we did just hit a milestone too. We hit 1,500 total views, correct?
Yeah, so that did happen, which is pretty good, and it's pretty amazing. We kind of staggered for a little bit. I think E3 kind of took over YouTube for a while, and so we staggered a little bit, but we're still pretty consistent, and it's pretty amazing. So again, thank you all very much, and I love you.
Oh, I would totally tongue kiss him.
Yeah, I would tongue. There's no shame in tonguing. So, but that's pretty much our channel update. There's not much else. Tell us what you guys like, what you guys don't like. Tell us what you think. If you have any ideas on Stinkflix movies, if you have any ideas on a retro game that you want Devin to play, if you want to do some voiceover work, leave a comment. I will hit you up. So I do have some opportunities for voiceover, and that is in our new segment. So if you're into that and you want to do it, leave a comment. I'll reach out to you some way. You can follow Devin at dev_DB channel. What's your Twitter handle, Devin?
Dev_channel DB.
That seems very long and not thought out.
I put a lot of thought into that, Richard.
Yeah, I agree. So, or reach out to me at BillyZ6219. It is an old name for my other channel, but whatever. So that's our update. Let's go ahead and get into the next segment of Stuff You Play.
Stuff You Play!
So as always, thank you, Golem and Goblin. You guys get a fucking shout out every single time. So you guys are amazing. If you want to add a bumper, by the way, so that's a bumper. If you want to add that to maybe the main topic, you want to get creative, go ahead and do that. Leave a comment. Tell me you're working on it. That'd be awesome. But this is the Stuff You Play segment. This is the segment where Devin and I talk about some of the stuff that we are playing on a weekly basis. Usually revolves around some sort of indie game. Sometimes we hit some AAA titles, but it tends to be a different game every week. And we try very hard to do that, but sometimes we don't because we are very busy. And so, Devin, I'll let you go ahead and go first. What are you playing this week, man?
Not much, actually. I was on vacation in Clearwater, Florida with my family, and I have not gotten to play many games. I did watch a lot of the E3 coverage, though, and I was particularly interested in a game called We Happy Few. It looks super creepy and like really trippy. It's about a society that seems to be on drugs. Like everybody's hooked on this drug. And if your drug wears off, you see that the world isn't what you kind of thought it was. And so even though it's not out yet, I would like to highlight it. You know, maybe go check out the coverage that was done from E3 on it. It looks like it's going to be a stellar game.
Yeah, I haven't checked too much into E3, but there are a few that I have looked into. Man, there are a lot of good games coming, and it makes me sad because I just recently sold my PlayStation, and I just recently sold off a lot of my Xbox games because I don't have time. I don't play that many video games anymore. But a lot of the games that are coming sound amazing. And, you know, I guess during E3 they did confirm the hardware upgrade. So Xbox Scorpio, which is, I don't know if it's a cool name or they're trying to be some cheesy Bond villain.
That's all I can think about is The Simpsons. Maybe it's because I'm old, but the first thing I think is Hank Scorpio.
Yeah. Which is one of my favorite episodes, by the way.
It's got to be one of the best episodes.
Oh, hands down. I mean,
not the Denver Broncos.
So the Scorpio is coming out, which is apparently the fastest console ever, which isn't much because there's not very many consoles out. Obviously, they're pretty on par with each other. PlayStation, did they talk about their 4.5 or the 4K or whatever they're calling it?
They did not to the extent that Microsoft did. They have one coming, and the key thing to take away from it is that on both consoles, they are not going to be splitting their user base. So if you're making a game for PlayStation or Xbox, it has to work on all of the different models of PlayStation and Xbox.
But to me, it's still bullshit. And here's why. Because you take the 3DS and the new 3DS, they had that exact same rule. So technically the game works, but on the 3DS, it is choppy, unplayable. I don't remember the game off the top of my head.
Yes.
I would cite
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Was it Monster Hunter?
I think so, and there was one or two others, but it's just so unplayable. But then on the new 3DS, it plays just fine. So technically, it's playable, but do you really want to suffer through it? And I have a feeling that that's going to happen because why else would you put the fastest hardware and the best hardware in it if it doesn't utilize it to the fullest extent?
For VR, virtual reality, basically, is my thinking on it. And we'll get into that a little bit later because that's also kind of our topic for the night.
Right.
But the problem is that at least with the PlayStation VR, all the stuff that people were saying was that it's going to be really hard to run smooth virtual reality on a PlayStation 4 as it is. So if all of these video game companies are betting on virtual reality being the future, they've got to have better hardware to support that. So I don't necessarily think that we're going to see quote unquote, oh, it works on the Xbox One, but then it doesn't work very well. I think we're going to see more likely that games will come out that work on all of the platforms, but they have like a virtual reality mode or something like that. A lot of the first-person shooters I see coming out in the future, they'll be able to work just on your TV, or they'll be able to work in VR if you have the right hardware for it.
So, yeah, and I kind of hear what you're saying. But we'll get into VR later in the episode because that, spoiler alert, is our topic. But so kind of the game I've been playing, and I take a break and then I get pulled back in so hard, is Hearthstone. So, Devin, I've kind of tried to get you hooked into Hearthstone. I've probably spent about $200 at this point on the game itself. And before y'all go, wow, you're crazy for spending $200 on a free-to-play game, it's the only game that I really play. So spending $200 over a year, so I've been playing a little bit over a year, kind of about back when Black Rock came out, I'm okay with that. It prevents me from buying other games that just sit on my shelf and do nothing. So before I, really feel like I have to justify to everybody, I've finally gotten to the point where I have competitive cards that I can start working my way up in the ranks. So I've done very well with a Cthulhu Druid, and I've done very well with a Tempo Mage, and you guys are kind of seeing that in the background if you guys watch the background video. So it's so much fun, man. It is easy, and Devin, I think when we had In Gaming on, you said it's kind of a casual game, but it is and it isn't. So that's like the multifaceted nature of Hearthstone, because it is a casual game. You can sit there and just play for fun and try and complete your quests and then just move on, or you can get really competitive with it and start working your way up through the ranks. And once you start hitting some of the higher ranks, you know exactly what decks are coming, and now it's time to start strategizing about, okay, what cards do I mulligan for? What do I keep in my hand? What cards do I have to save because I know they're going to play the Faceless Shambler, which is I think it's the Flame Wreathed Shambler or something stupid. It's the 7/7 4-drop from the fucking Shaman. And so it becomes such a mind game that you have to sit there and constantly be thinking about, okay, what is my opponent going to play turn 4? What do I have to have prepared? And it's just, it's so much fun to me.
It's definitely a game you get into it what you put into it, in the sense that, for me it is very casual. It's something I can play while I'm pooping at work, or, I got 10 minutes while my wife's getting ready for a night out or something like that. I can pull it up and play a quick match and, be done with it. But I keep trying. I play it. I'll play a couple matches here or there, just depending on what's going on, and put it down for 2 weeks and then pick it back up. I did buy the Explorers expansion pack, so I am trying to get some good cards so that I can at least feel like I'm not going to get greased every single game.
And I agree with you. And one thing that if you're new and you don't really know how to get into Hearthstone, master the basic decks. So the basic decks will get you to rank 20, and then play the Tavern Brawl every week. So every week you're going to get a free pack of cards, and the more weeks you do it, the better chance you have of unlocking that legendary you're looking for, or being able to collect enough dust to craft that legendary. And then make sure you play Arena. So if you get enough gold, play Arena. When you're playing Arena, you're going to get a free pack anyways, and you'll get some more gold, or you'll get, some dust. So do that. So one of the things that I use too as kind of a companion is icyveins.com. So icy-veins.com. And it gives you like an Arena tier list. So it'll tell you what cards are exceptional, what cards are good, bad, terrible, whatever. And that kind of helps me craft my decks. I'm still not very good at Arena, but it is what it is. So
now, see, I've been very scared of Arena because you have to, there's an entrance fee, right? Like 150 gold.
Yep.
Yeah. So, like, I have not played Arena at all because if I get 150 gold, I'm 1.5. I'm basically 50 gold away from two free packs of cards. So I've been very leery of doing the Arena because I'm I don't want to lose that gold. So that actually I might write down that website and give that a try.
But you don't lose gold because if you think about it, so if you go 0-3, you get to open two things. One will always be a card pack. So that's 100 gold. So now you have to figure out, okay, did I make enough to earn that 50 gold back? And if you sometimes get 35 gold or you get like 20 dust, and so really you're only missing for 3 games, you're only missing 15 gold, roughly.
Oh, that's not bad. See, I never knew that. It's not like that stuff is, easily spelled out for you. I guess unless you're looking for it, it's not going to really explain that well.
Yeah, no, and I agree. It isn't, and I did the exact same thing, Devin, until I started watching, some of my other YouTubers. I mean, just like in gaming, where they do play a lot of, a lot of Arena. In gaming does a lot of deck testing, but they have a new section called Tony's Trials. Tony's one of the guys that was on our show. If you don't know who they are, go back and listen to that episode. That's all he does is play Arena. So they kind of teach you how, what trades to make and stuff like that. So it's a lot of fun. I think that's enough on stuff you play. What do you think?
I'm ready to get into the topic. I'm excited about this.
Yeah, so this is a good topic. So this is going to be VR. Is VR a fad such as Kinect or PlayStation Move? We
could just say motion controls.
Yeah, or is it the new way of gaming? So we've had a small stint before where we're at now in virtual reality. And Devin, do you remember what it is?
Oh man, the Virtual Boy. It was the Nintendo handheld system, except you couldn't hold it in your hand.
Yeah.
My cousin had it, and I remember playing Mario Tennis on it to the point that my eyes felt like they were going to explode out of my face. It gave you such a horrible headache.
Yeah, that was terrible. I've played it. So one of my friends' dads had it. He worked at Electronics Boutique, and he had it. And man, we would play Mario Tennis was the only game he had, and it was just fucking terrible. So,
but you played it because you were like, "Oh, this is awesome! It's like it's 3D," and you played it forever, even though it was like you were trying to convince yourself that it really was good in the future.
Right, and so I haven't had the chance to play VR yet. I haven't bought into it, but I do listen to a lot of the news, and I do try to keep up with it because this is something I'm monitoring very closely. So, Devin, I did buy into the Kinect. I didn't buy the Move because I didn't Move is Move. It's, I'm not a PlayStation guy. I'm an Xbox guy. And so I did buy into the Kinect and played it a little bit, but then it's like, this is kind of dumb. And you can even see Microsoft in there. So at E3 this year, they announced 2 new consoles. One console was the Slim, and one console was the Scorpio that we already touched on. The Slim model doesn't even have a Kinect adapter. So it feels like Microsoft is saying, we're going to just nix Kinect altogether. You can buy an adapter if you want, but it's not going to be in our Slim model.
Yeah, they basically admitted that that's a done deal. I almost got to check out VR. Following E3, Sony had trucks going around to Best Buys and GameStops with demos of the PSVR, and the Best Buy by me had the trucks in on Friday and Saturday, and we drove up Friday to go check it out, and we got there at about 7:10, and apparently the event thing ended at 7. So I didn't get to check it out, but I did get to actually see one of the headsets, and it looked cool. You know, I didn't get to try it or anything.
Yeah, I'm not sold, by the way. So
you know, this is where I feel like it's going to be hard to sell people on this, especially like at E3 or something. You know, at E3 I can watch, you know, the trailer for, you know, Battlefield 1 or whatever and be blown away. You know, be like, oh, this is so fucking cool. I can't wait to come out. There is no way to show that with VR. You can't see what's cool about it unless you're actually trying it.
Right.
So it right now it's going to be a hard sell. The price keeps me away. Especially for like the Vive. Oculus, I don't care about Oculus. I think they've done a bad job of trying to attract buyers, and so for me, it's either going to be the Vive or the PlayStation VR. The Vive is $800 plus you have to have a top of the line computer to run it, and that's going to keep a lot of people from getting into it. The PlayStation VR is close to the right price range. I do like that on the PlayStation VR, any game will play on it. You just have, like, if it isn't accessible to VR, you basically just get a giant screen inside of the headset. So you're basically playing, you know, whatever PlayStation game you want, Last of Us or whatever, on a giant screen. And have you ever tried Google Cardboard?
No, I haven't. I've seen it. I just haven't done it yet.
Okay. I have a Google Cardboard headset. And even though it's clearly not, you know, the technology that the Vive and Oculus and all that have going on, it's fucking cool. I've got a couple apps on my phone that I can use it with, and the coolest one is the giant movie screen. I haven't, like, I did like the demo stuff where, like, you walk around a museum and it's 3D, and it's like, okay, I could see how this would be cool, and I could see how schools could use, you know, stuff like this. But the giant movie screen is really cool, and every once in a while I'll pull it out and sit and watch a movie, lay in bed and watch a movie with the headset on, because it is, like, when you show it to people, like, even though it's like primitive and it's, you know, not cutting edge technology, people usually are like, this is fucking awesome.
Right.
So I think it's I don't think it's a fad. I think there's more here than just the Kinect, you know, or the Move or whatever. This is kind of, to me, something that has legs, and it's something that is enough of a jump forward that there is something here. And it's a lot like CDs. You know, CDs used to be giant, expensive, you know, things. I can remember my parents not wanting me to have a CD player because they were like $300, $400 for like a base model, not a nice CD player. And eventually the technology got cheaper, and they figured out ways to make it nice and make it affordable, and then suddenly everybody had it. That's that's probably where I think VR is headed. I don't see it fizzling and burning. There's just too much money invested in it right now. And not in the sense that motion controls were, where it seemed tacked on to regular games.
So I kind of agree with you and I kind of disagree. And where I disagree is that, I mean, for a guy like me, I'm super weird about knowing what's going on at all times around me. And so I've done let's back it up. There are 4 kinds of VR you can get. The mobile VR, which includes Google Cardboard, the Samsung Tech, something like that. Then there's a PlayStation VR, Oculus, and Vive. So I've tried the Samsung, and
I've tried that as well.
I hated it, and this was one of the earlier models. The reason I hated it is because I don't know what's going on around me, and for me, that's a weird thing. So that's not the only reason I'm saying it is. But when you have a company like Facebook who is behind Oculus, I don't think they have the right mindset. And saying that is only because, I think PlayStation does have the right mindset. I think they do have a very good idea coming in. So Facebook doesn't have all of the partnerships, if you will, with all of the other video game developers, such as PlayStation already has. And so when you look at the difference in games between Oculus and the PlayStation VR, especially with what they announced at E3, it's amazing.
Yeah. Well, I think, and as I said earlier, Oculus is doing a horrible job. There are still people who kickstarted this thing, what was that, 3 years ago, that still have not gotten their units because, a little backstory, the guy that invented the Oculus, or really pioneered it, his name Palmer Luckey, he sold it to Facebook. And then once Facebook got involved, I'm sure as everybody, shocked and surprised, things started going kind of shifty. Of course, they're doing tracking stuff, what you're playing and that kind of thing. But then they started, the big thing, their production got messed up and they really rushed to get it to retail before they had enough models to fulfill their Kickstarter pledges. So there are people who kickstarted this thing and they could have actually gone to Amazon and ordered it quicker than they would have gotten something that they basically invested in. And then the other thing that they're really dealing with right now is that they want the Oculus store to be a walled garden. They don't want games that are on the Oculus to be on anything else. And that's kind of goes counterintuitive to what Steam and Gaben and the Vive want to do. They want it to be an open, just pick your platform and play whatever game you want to play. So there was a recent report that Oculus has been offering an insane amount of money to developers to make their games exclusive. And it's kind of backfired on them a little bit. So I don't think Oculus is going to be the future. If they are, it's going to take a serious change in how they're doing things. The Vive, from everything I've heard, is awesome. The thing I don't like about the Vive is that a lot of the games involve standing up and walking around, and you can call me a lazy fat ass or whatever. I don't want to do that. I did that with the Wii and with the bowling and all that, and I don't want to walk around my room playing a video game. And that's where I do like that the PlayStation seems to be focused on, stationary, you're sitting, you're playing the game with the headset on, and you're immersed or whatever.
But partially, they do have the Move controllers, too, that kind of map your hands as well.
Yes, they do. But I think they're going to focus, they're going to be better at giving multiple experiences. So they'll do a better job of varying the types of games you can play on it. All of the Vive demos that I've seen so far have involved standing up and walking around a giant room with nothing in it.
Right.
And, I have a house, but I don't have a room that I can dedicate to virtual reality. I've got kids and shit
Right.
in all my rooms and that kind of stuff. So I don't want to have a room with nothing in it to play VR.
Well,
And
and the hard thing is that so the VR sensors for Vive pretty much make it so you have to have a rectangle. If you don't have a rectangular room, it just is awkward in your play space, and it or it's almost you need to have almost a perfect square, because if you get too close to the edges or your edges of your rectangle are too close together, you'll constantly have your sensors going off that you're about ready to hit a wall. And that to
yes,
me is super annoying, and that's where Oculus and PlayStation VR have the advantage. But I think out of everything, if the PlayStation can pump out the same or better graphics than Vive or Oculus, I think they'll win. And the reason is, with the games that are coming to PlayStation, they already have a huge step above. So, I mean, they released 2 Batman games at E3. One is Arkham VR, and the other is a Mask That Fits. I don't remember the other one, but it's pretty much, one is you do the detective mode. This was the demo, at least. You do the detective mode from Arkham Origins, but it's in VR. Which, how cool is that? And then the second one is you're in Wayne Manor, and you get to put on the bat suit, which I don't know how deep it goes, but it's at least Batman, and it's from the Arkham games, right? And then they also released Resident Evil 7.
oh my god, yeah,
And
dude, horror games are going to be next level on virtual reality. I think out of everything that VR can offer, throwing me in a haunted house and having me run from stuff is going to be the thing that I'm going to be most
absolutely.
looking forward to.
But the problem, so Resident Evil 7 had a playable demo at E3, and the problem with it is, so they still have yet to figure out movement within VR space. So a lot of games have adapted teleportation.
Yeah, teleport.
So Vive came and said, or no, sorry, Bethesda said that Fallout 4 will be playable in VR on the Vive. Or was it Oculus? It was one of them. I'm
It
sorry,
was
I don't.
Bethesda said that. Yeah, Bethesda's is like one of their big things they announced was that they're really working hard to get Skyrim and Fallout to both be VR capable games.
But the problem is, in there, you teleport. So you teleport to everywhere you walk. I don't know how far your teleportation is or how close, because part of the experience of Fallout is checking every house, checking every nook and cranny, and finding all the Easter eggs and all that. But so they changed it to teleport. Resident Evil, you're walking, and so the initial feedback, I know that Capcom and Sony are still working on those bugs in the PlayStation VR, but it has been nothing but bad reports of nausea from this game. And that,
Yeah, I mean it's clearly in the early stages, but like I said, I don't see it going the way of a fad. There's too much big money invested by big companies, this and not your typical video game companies. I mean Sony and Microsoft are basically making a new console so that they can do virtual reality. That's how much money is invested in this. This isn't
agreed.
like where the Wii kind of captured everybody's imagination, and then Sony and Xbox were like, "Oh, we do motion controls too," and then they had the Move and the Kinect and that, and they were poor copies of what the Wii was able to do.
Agreed.
So that doesn't feel like this. There's
but-
way too much money invested in this for it to just be a fad.
So I partially agree with you, and we're at the tech race right now. So Sony, Vive, and Oculus are all trying to be the biggest in the market. So it reminds me of the days when HD DVDs and Blu-rays came out. We know that Microsoft backed HD, and then Sony backed Blu-rays, and obviously Blu-rays won. Than the HDs, because those, I mean, it was just an antiquated system for me. But now we have the same thing where Sony has their own VR, but Microsoft is backing Oculus. And to me, that is going to be, if you're not an early adopter and you're not okay with wasting $600, well, it's going to be more than that because you got to buy the Xbox Scorpio to even be able to use Oculus. And I would wait, personally. I would wait until it fizzles out or it decides the clear winner. Because for me, I am not in the market to spend $1,000 just to get into this, and then it fail, and then you're like, well, there goes $1,000,
I have a PlayStation 4 as well as a PC, and it's going to be very, very, very hard not to ask for a PlayStation VR from Santa Claus this year. I'm sorry. I'm one of those people. I like early adopting. I enjoy being on the cutting edge of something and experiencing it. I know it's dumb, and I probably have wasted a good deal of money over my lifetime doing that. But, I mean, I enjoy it. Life's too short to worry about that stuff too much. But I think if I had, unlimited resources, I think I would probably go with the Vive just because I think the world is more open on PC, what it could do in the future, and the ability for it to be supported moving forward is greater on the PC than it is on a console. I mean, what happens to the VR when it's time for a new console, for a PlayStation 5 or whatever? Do I need to get a new VR head? There's too much question marks about it on a console for me to completely buy in. But since I'm a family guy with 2 kids, I don't have $800 to spend on the Vive. I could maybe scrape together $400 for a PlayStation VR and, convince my wife that it's a gift for the kids or whatever.
Yeah, I think I got to do some heavy convincing if I'm going to get one. But anyways, so tell us what you guys think about VR. Do you guys think it's a fad? Do you think it's going to stick around? What, if you have experiences with VR, what are they? Just let us know. And then let us know what kind of pony you guys are rooting for, because there's only going to be one clear winner. I mean, they'll probably both will stick around, or all 3 or all 4, whatever, will stick around. But there's going to be one that gets more support from developers because they're not all the same dev kit, so you would have to develop 3 different games for 3 different platforms, which sounds like a nightmare. But let us know. Again, we did some of the channel updates, so we're not going to repeat it here. But be sure to check out some of the other videos that we have if you like this and you want to be a guest. Feel free to leave a comment and we'll reach out to you, or hit us up in the Twitter that we talked about earlier. And then if you lastly, if you liked the video, hit the like button. If you loved it, go ahead and subscribe. And I think that's going to do it for us. Anything else you want to say before we get out of here?
No. I think I've said my piece for the week.
All right. Talk to you all next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey everybody, this is Devin.
And this is Bob.
We want to thank you for watching the video. If you like what you watch, make sure that you like the video and subscribe to the channel as well.
Be sure to check out some of our other videos that are appearing on your screen as we speak.